Hey guys, Brad here, and today we're going to be taking a look at a tool that I absolutely love. I've been wanting it a long time. I got it this summer and it is just an amazing tool. And that is the DeWalt 20 volt max brushless pole saw. This thing is so handy, I think, for anybody. If you own a home or you're into landscaping or anything like that, you know, you just can't go wrong with this. This is such a cool tool to have. Before this, I had a pole saw that you just had to use by hand, and you know, they work, but this is so fast. And in the video you're going to see here how quickly I'm just blasting through branches. So let's talk about a few specs on this. It is, again, the 20 volt max brushless 8-inch pole saw. Now these things are super greasy once you get oil into them, and it's always been an issue with the DeWalt chainsaws. When you leave them on, you know, sitting down, the oil naturally just seeps out onto the chain and then starts to drip. So a little tip, guys, store this upright and you shouldn't have any leaking issues. I've had it stored upright now for a few months and no problems at all. It's been really good. It hasn't dripped on anything, whereas my chainsaws, if I hang them or if I set them down, they're just always leaking oil. So I'm glad this thing doesn't leak when it's sitting up like this. Otherwise, you have to drain it. And just use chainsaw oil, but it goes in on the top here. Very easy to take this off, and you just pour it in and you're good to go. And it's a clear container, or sort of semi-clear, so you can kind of see, you know, probably not on camera here, but you can see when you need more oil. And right now we're at about halfway. You can replace this chain. It is probably, I don't even know, is this an Oregon? Probably an Oregon chain. I typically get my chains made up for my chainsaws, so I'll probably do the same for this. I just get them made at like a local chainsaw store, and they'll just cut them down and make them to fit. To tension this chain, it's all in here. You got to use these Allen keys, and it comes with an Allen key on the case here, which is great. I haven't had to adjust this at all or change the blade, so it's pretty good that way. And then this just slides over the sheath like that, and you've got your tool storage. So this extends totally to 15 feet, which I think is really, really great. At 15 feet, I keep a flexible battery on this because at 15 feet, it's very top heavy, and you know, you're cutting through a branch and then it just kind of wants to slump down on you. So be aware of that. You know, just practice a little bit before you start using it too much. It is a little bit different to use, a little awkward when you're up really, really high, but otherwise it's pretty sweet. You don't have to use this extension pole. Okay, you can just put the two together, and the way that works, very, very simple. There's an arrow on the top here, and you just line that up with the arrow here, and you just plug them together, and then that screws on, and you're ready to go. Now if you want to put the next pole in, you do the same thing. I'm not going to do it just because it's just going to be massive in this shop, but when I'm actually doing the cutting here, I will use this extension pole. What else can I say about this? The trigger takes a little bit getting used to, but it's pretty good. And I'm just gonna bring this up here. So the trigger, it's got a little safety on it. Okay. So when you go to pull this down, you have to just pull this back and then down, and then you can bring in the power like that. I've noticed if you're pushing down on this at all, it doesn't move very well. So it's kind of annoying. You have to be very gentle with it before you pull it down. I found with gloves on, it's kind of difficult. So, you know, if DeWalt's gonna fix this, they should make this little mechanism just a little bit smoother. So it's, even if you're applying some pressure, it will flip on you. That would be a nice improvement. Otherwise, I really like it. It's very easy to use. Batteries just slip in the back here, no problem. Just like that. And yeah, it just blasts through tree limbs, you know, no problem at all. So let's take this outside and we'll cut down some branches. Another thing I forgot to mention here, this is all metal construction right here. They're not teeth, but they are, you know, they do allow you to press against the branch. Kind of anchors you in while you're cutting, which is pretty nice. And that is basically a very simple unit, not much to it. All right, so let's go outside and do some cutting and let's check this thing out. So we're just gonna put this together and do some cutting of these branches. This tree we're taking down because it's too close to the house and it's actually pressing up against the house and leaning right over. So we're gonna just start off by cutting some branches down. You can see it's super easy to cut these branches. No problem at all. Just blast right through them. Make sure you're always sharpening your chain or keeping a fresh one on hand. So having a pole saw is a huge time saver. If you didn't have any type of pole saw, you'd have to get a ladder, climb up, and cut these branches down by hand. Having an electric pole saw just makes quick work of any branch, anything that's dead. You just want to trim something up quickly. It doesn't have to be a big production. You can just pull this out and cut away. So that's why I really, really like this tool. The only downside to having a pole saw is they're so much fun to cut with that, you know, you might end up taking down way more than you planned on, and that's not a good thing, especially when your wife loves trees and plants. And I've been guilty of cutting a little bit too much when I'm put to this task. All right, guys, so as you can see, awesome saw, but I will note one thing that I don't know if DeWalt can fix it. It would be nice if this unscrewed here and if I could just attach the cutting part like this so it's just a little bit smaller. Reason being is I found using this a bunch, if you have the full extension on, and let's say you're on a man lift and you're working yourself up a tree or something like that, it's very hard to hold this, and you almost have to bring your arm way back to cut stuff that's a little bit too close. So when you're using these, you really have to plan, you know, where you are within the tree, especially if you are on some sort of boom, man lift, something like that. You really got to think about, okay, I only want to go up a foot at a time and do my cuts, because otherwise if you go up too high, you really got to pull your arm way back so that you can get closer stuff. It would be cool if there was some sort of way, and I'm sure they could do it, but if this had like a tension bar in here that you could flip and pull the actual pole through the unit, even though it's still giving power to the unit. That would be a pretty cool design, because then you could have this set up all the time. You could have full length, 15 feet, and you could release the lever, you could pull it through, you could do some close stuff, and you could extend it and just have the pole kind of extend past you. That's just a thought, an idea I had. I'm not a tool maker, obviously, but I think that would be a cool improvement so that, you know, you can work trees a lot easier, especially if, you know, you're in hard to reach areas and then you gotta pull back and then back and forth. So that's penny for your thoughts. My thoughts, I guess. Otherwise, hope you liked the review, guys. Please subscribe, hit that notify bell, leave some comments down below. I'd like to know if you're using the DeWalt or any of the other brands. What do you think about them? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Do you just like the manual ones? Leave some comments. All right, guys, keep on crushing it. We'll catch you later.